So, this is your Sheffield Wednesday season review for the 24-25 season. Hello and welcome to this video. I hope you are all doing well. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, much appreciate it. Liking out the algorithm, sharing gets in front of people's faces, and subscribing lets me know you like the channel. Hit that notification bell to let you know when videos go live. This is probably going out the latest I've ever done a season review, but we are getting into it as it stands. And the start of last season was interesting in terms of going into after the Sunderland game, because we were still all in this big, is Danny going to be here or not situation. And we were trying to see, will he sign a new deal? Won't he sign a new deal? 24th of May comes around and Daniel signs a new long-term 3-year deal, which will take him till 2027. He said, I'm delighted to extend my contract with Sheffield Wednesday. This is a fantastic club that has taken me to their heart, and I feel exactly the same way. I'd like to thank the chairman and also the opportunity to get everything done. So we had this situation where we were going through the whole saga of will he, won't he, will he, won't he. And we then had the usual thing that we have. We have shirt announcements and releases. This is the home shirt for that season. Kind of like it. It grew on a lot of people a lot. We got a lovely orange number with the away shirt. I really like this. Has been like a nice one with the black badge, and not been a bad shirt this season either. But then we got the third shirt. Now Sheffield Wednesday haven't really done third shirts for such a long time. Our third shirts have been few and far between. Now this one was released to a big fanfare, and you know what? I was calling for one of these to be done for absolutely donkey. I wanted a blackout Wednesday shirt for the longest time. We finally got one. We got a release date, and an hour worth of queuing, and a lot of people who may have been disappointed because the website didn't work that well with it all. Some people got it, some people didn't. And it just showed a little bit of what our commercial side can be at times. And it just always makes me go, is our commercial side as good as we think it is? And it probably isn't the greatest, as we all know. And it could do with a lot of work. But we got shirts. And then you're thinking, right, we now got shirts. We need players for these shirts. Now, you have to remember, the season, at the end of the season, we let a lot of players go. We were saying Bambo Diaby went for 400k. Volt went for a free transfer to Oxford United. Delgado, remember him? He left. Dawson went to Rotherham. Backinson went to Wickham. Byers went to Port Vale. Reece James went to Rotherham. Gregory went to Mansfield Town. Kieran Brennan went to Newport. Mallet Wilkes went on loan to Rotherham. And Bailey Cadamartri went on loan to Lincoln City. And you're all thinking, right, we need players. We need people to come in and do the job. So we ended up bringing in Ben Hamer, Savante Ingleson, Nathaniel Chalobah, Jamal Lowe, Matt Lowe, Jan Valery, Olof Kovaci. We brought in James Beadle for his second loan with the club. We also brought in Shea Charles, Charlie McNeil. And then the one that kind of got us all, we were waiting for a little bit. We brought in Deshaun Bernard on a new contract because he was out of contract. And that one took a long time to get done because he was away. And we saw kind of used a bit of his social media post to announce it with showing his bags and stuff because it was a little bit of a to and fro what's going on here. And then EK Ugbo came in, and that was the one that was throughout most of the summer, along with Bernard, was the Willie, won't he, Willie, won't he. Took a while to get done, came in during a Danny Rule press conference. I thought it was a really clever way of announcing it by Wednesday, something we haven't done in a while. And we got that done. We went and had pre-season friendlies with Alfreton Town, Red Bull Salzburg, Werder Bremen, and Legies, which was Liam Palmer's testimonial match. We also had the situation where Josh Windass of Well was taking a while to see if Windass was going to have a new deal. That deal eventually got sorted with Windass. He stayed for it again, and he had a target. He had a target to try and reach, which would to get to 50 odd goals for the club and 53 goals for the club as a whole, trying to be the top goal scorer for this century, I believe, is what the goal was. So you go into it, you think that's an okay little preseason we've had. We're getting into August. Some of the transfers hadn't happened yet, but they eventually got sorted. And we start the first game of the season in August. 11th of August. We go against Plymouth Argyle, who have spent the summer rebuilding their squad and getting in Wayne Rooney as manager. We got a 4-0 win. And you're thinking, great, we're looking good. The team playing well. We're having a good time and looking like we're going to get somewhere. We go into Cup. A 2-1 win versus Hull City. Charlie McNeil getting a goal in that. And you're thinking, fantastic, gets him off the mark. Got 2 in that, actually. And there was a little bit of, right, we're going to see the best out of Charlie McNeil. We may see him in some 13 games. Wasn't the case, sadly. We then have championship games where it was just back-to-back defeats in the league. A 4-0 loss versus Sunderland with a big mistake from Josh Windass. They absolutely trounced us. We then got beat 2-0 by Leeds on a Friday night, and they were looking really good. We got a 5-1 win versus Grimsby Town in the Cup. Ugbo getting a goal there, which was fantastic. Jamal Lowe also getting on the score sheet. And then we go into the 31st of August to a 3-0 defeat versus Millwall. Not having a really good start apart from that 4-0 versus Plymouth. And people will question, is this going to work? Are we going to need to try and turn things around? Now, we have the international break, chance to reset ourselves, and we kind of do. We get a 1-1 versus QPR, where I thought we were probably a bit unlucky in that one. And we started to see this situation where we were starting to play games and play okay, but we just weren't taking the chances, which will eventually become the whole crux of our season, where there's a lot of chances to be had, but we don't take them. 1-1 with QPR, a 1-0 versus Blackpool in the Cup, which was against Steve Bruce, who was there. Luton versus Sheffield Wednesday. It was a 2-1 win to Luton. We were kind of very controversial penalty in that. I remember I was also looking at that one with the red card to Bernard and thinking, how have we not got something there? Played really well. We got a 3-2 versus West Brom with us getting Windass and Masaba off the mark. Masaba making it 3-2 right at the end. And you're thinking, right, something to build on. A home win. Let's try and build on that. See if we can go a bit further forward. And then we start to have it where we get a lot of draws quite a bit. So we get a 0-0 versus Bristol City. We get a good win versus Coventry, with one of it being a last-minute winner. Lose to Burnley 2-0 at home. Burnley were outstanding this season. They were really good. If you look at their clean sheet record, really fantastic. A 0-0 versus Swansea, where I thought we could have probably got all 3 points if we were good enough for it, just didn't take our chances. We go away to Portsmouth, and we lose Akinfenwa in this game to a very long-term injury, which starts to make us a little bit bad at the back. We start getting injuries at the back, and it's not good. It really starts to hamper our season a little bit with how many injuries we get at the back and how we are not able to recover and get people in. You have people like Otto having to come in and make his debut. But that game had an excellent strike from Michael Smith to get the winner. Really good goal. And you're thinking, right, push on. We go to Brentford. We get a 1-1 draw versus Brentford in the Cup, and it goes to penalties. And to get a 1-1 draw versus Brentford in the cup, you kind of go, okay, I'll take that. That's a really good result. With us, and you're thinking, can we try and get it right again? But here's the thing we have going into this. We get a situation again where we have to talk about things off the pitch. We have to talk about things off the pitch yet again, where HMRC don't get their payment, whatever. We pay it late, and because it gets paid late, it causes issues and stuff being asked about at the club yet again about, does DC have the money for this? Why has it not been paid? And it causes that whole thing. Everyone questions it. It gets paid eventually, and it's another one of those off-field situations where it wouldn't be a Sheffield Wednesday season if there wasn't some off-field drama there. And it was another one of those situations where you think this shouldn't happen, but it is. We go to November, get absolutely battered at home, 6-2 by Watford. And we just fell apart. We really just fell apart, and it was just the way we went down in that game, which was annoying. We get a good 2-0 win, though, after that, against Norwich at home. We go into the derby. It's a tight one. It's a 1-0 to Sheffield United. It could have gone either way, but it was a bit gutting to lose that one. We then have another international break. Have to wipe ourselves down, try and go again. Get a 1-1 with Cardiff at home. We're not turning these home games into wins. It's taking us a while to try and get wins at home. We're either not taking our chances, or we're leaving teams a chance to get in there and not kill games off. We go to Hull on the 26th of November and beat them comfortably 2-0. Took a slight while. We got our first penalty in God knows how long. Finally got a penalty, and we scored from it. We're getting close to 500 odd days or so with no penalty. Finally got one. And you're thinking, fantastic, penalty at last. Great 2-0 win. That was the end of their managers at the time, Tim Walter, I want to say his name was, reign. And I still think with the whole City thing, they should never got rid of Liam Rosenior. But that's what happens at certain clubs. And the thing is, this is where everything went a bit weird for us again. And the reason is it went weird for us again because we were always looking over our shoulders of what might happen at Southampton. We're always looking at what might happen at Southampton going into December. Now, we go into December and we get a good 2-1 win versus Derby. Really good play to get that win. We had a 1-1 versus Preston. I thought we were a little bit unlucky. We lose to Blackburn Rovers at home again. That whole loss at home, that keeps causing us a lot of pain. We get a good 3-0, 3-1 win versus Oxford United at their place. Windass again gets on the score sheet. You get Jamal Lowe and Gassama. But after Saturday the 14th of December, Russell Martin gets sacked on the 15th of December. And all the talk of Danny possibly going there start coming up. And it's no coincidence that our form kind of hit a little bit of a bad form after that. We start having that. We're having to have a makeshift defence as well with Akin. Bernard keep getting little knocks. He does get a knock that rules him out for most of the season. I think that's in January when that happens. But it just questions everything. We get a really good 2-0 win versus Stoke, but then you get the Boxing Day game, which is insane. we're 3-0 down, and we have that determination to come back to make it 3-3. And you're thinking, why are we the team that has to get a goal behind before we can get anywhere close to being in front? And it's been the case all season. All season we've had it where we would have to wait until the other team scored to play. You go to the 29th of December, it's a 3-1 win to Preston North End. It was an easy win as well. They were very, very good. We just did not turn up. You go to January thinking, right, transfer window. We need defenders. We need a striker. What are we going to get? Who can we bring in? We have the whole thing, though, that, again, this is done by more off the field stuff. Danny spent most of December going into January at the end saying, I've not spoken to the gaffer about the transfer window. Nothing's been done. We have a fan forum, which was an absolute disaster. It went on for ages, and in the mix of that fan forum, right at the end, we get told Shay Charles is being recalled. And that was a bit of a hammer blow for us. 1st of January, though, we win at Derby 4-2. Josh Windass with an absolute amazing goal from his own half. Doesn't win goal of the season, by the way. From his own half, really good goal. Gets him on to 50 goals for the club. You're thinking, fantastic. He wants to get that other record that he's been looking at. And he had a really good season for us. I think he ended up with 12 goals at the end of the season. We get 2-2 versus Millwall at our place. Not great. We don't do well yet again in terms of it. We have to come back into that game to get it. Otabio, though, gets his first goal for the club, which is absolutely fantastic. You want to see that for a young player coming through. 1-1 in the FA Cup versus Coventry. They eventually win 4-3 on penalty. Coventry get battered 3-0 by Leeds. Leeds were very comfortable in that game. And we start drawing a lot of games after this. You get a 1-1 versus in the Cup. You get a 2-2 versus Bristol City at home. Again, another one of those games where it's at home. You're thinking we could do better here. Let's see if we can try and get something here. But in January, we lose Bernard. Bernard is a player we lose to injury around, I think it's around this time, maybe around February time. But we lose Bernard. He's out for the season. And it's not great. It means we're having to have a makeshift defence again. A good 2-0 win versus QPR. We bring in players such as Shay Charles come back. We have the loan re-agreed and he re-signs. We bring in Stuart Armstrong. Really good experience in midfield. That could help us. We also bring in Leo Hatase just after the window on a free. Are you thinking maybe this will help us a little bit, but we were still missing and lacking something. We needed a striker and we needed defenders. We didn't get them. We didn't get a striker or the defenders that we really probably needed. And that was something that was going to always come to bite us a little bit. And you were thinking we have to try and get those people in. But sadly, we couldn't. We go to the next game in February, 1st of February, play Luton at home. It's a 1-1 draw. We get back into it thanks to Michael Smith penalty. But it's 1-1. We get a 2-1 loss versus West Brom. And they got that on the 96th minute winner after we got our 93rd minute winner. Our 93rd minute equaliser. And it was just that little bit of mentality that just went. The mentality just went a little bit there. And this was the game that we lost to Sean Bernard in. Bernard went off. And this was where you were like, right, we're going to have a proper makeshift defence. And it was a shame. Good 1-0 win versus Swansea. We lose at home to Coventry. We get battered by Burnley 4-0. And then we lose to Sunderland as well 2-1 at their place. Quick goals by them early on to get it sorted, and then they get it on the 71st minute, and we just didn't turn up. And again, it's another home game that you're looking at and you're going, why are we so bad at home? Why are we having these issues at home? You go into March, we get a good 3-0 win versus Plymouth Argyle. 3-2 win versus Norwich, which is fantastic. You're thinking going into the derby game, is it going to give us a chance? Well, it was another tight game in the derby, which Sheffield United got. They got all 6 points for the season. They got the bragging rights. A 1-1 draw with Cardiff. But then we get the situation at the end of March that players and staff have not been paid on time again. This for this club. And I say again in the terms of this isn't the first time this has happened. A lot of things start getting put into the question of what's going on. Why have they not been paid on time? How come it's so late? And at this point, we're now as a fan base wondering, are we going to get hit with a point deduction? Are we going to get hit with a transfer ban? Because this is 2 times in a calendar year in the season where we've paid late on HMRC, and now we paid players not on time and late. And you just go into this thinking, is this going to be another one of these seasons where off-field stuff is what causing us to not be able to go on and not be able to have the squad that we really should have? 5th of April, 1-0 win for Hull City. Got it. They just managed to get it right at the death again. It's another one of those sucker punch blows. And at this point, we were looking at bits and pieces where if we went on a run, there was a slight chance you could get playoffs. The slight chance of playoff. But it then started to crumble. 2-2 versus Blackburn Rovers. That was the end of it for us. We threw away a 2-0 lead. They got back into it. They went on to nearly have a good run of playoffs as well. It was the first result for their manager as well. We lost 1-0 to Oxford at home. Which again, it was starting to see a trend here where we would have this thing where at home, I think we've won 4 games all season. Better away team than we were home team, with the team that had the most point from coming from behind, which we could see. A 2-0 win for Stoke, which then secured Stoke pretty much safety. A surprising result for us on the 21st of April with a 2-1 win versus Middlesbrough. That was our first win at home since the 1st of January. That also got Josh Windass to 52 goals for the season. Not for the season, for the whole of his Sheffield Wednesday career. 52 goals. He was looking for that 53. He wanted to get it. So trying really hard. And I think that took his tally up to 12. A 1-1 versus Pompey in our last game of the season there. Would have been nice to get a bit more. And you were starting to think, how many players are we potentially losing out of this squad at this point? Because we've heard nothing about contract talks. We've heard nothing about renewals or anything like that. Everyone has been a bit quiet on it. And as Pato and Co said, kind of like that a little bit. They get to concentrate on the football. And the last game of the season was a 1-1 draw versus Watford at their place. Josh Windass get 53 goals for his time in a Sheffield Wednesday shirt. We at this moment of recording, we don't know if that's going to be continued. There is apparently an option on him and an option on other players. And at the end of this one, you started having the thing, what's going to be happening with Danny and how everything's going to happen, because he was kind of saying how he wanted to make sure that he goes and has a rest. He wants to see if the club will match his ambition and speak to the club. And we all know what's happened over the last couple of, since the season's ended. He's done an interview for a blog. He's done a podcast talking about how he'd like to go to Bundesliga, maybe do Premier League. He spoke about how there's an unofficial thing with the club. The club have spoke and thought the club have come out and said there isn't. It's led to really sour taste in the mouth of a lot of Sheffield Wednesday fans. It's also come out that the deal we did in January for Hattersley and Stuart Armstrong were only short-term deals till the end of the season. So we didn't really add anything to the squad that was going to be long-term thinking or planning. We've had the whole situation that we don't know what's going to be happening. We've got at least maybe 13 players out of contract, roughly, if you take away loans, if you take away the 4 who maybe have options on their deals as well, you're probably looking at, again, at about 10. That's a lot of players out of contract. Again, that's a big turnover player, but we have that every season. It does seem to be the case for us. We ended the season with a mid-table finish. We got 58 points. If you want context to where that puts us close to playoffs to get playoffs this year, it was 68 points that secured it. So we got 58. And if you want it in context to where we are for beating relegation, 49 points got you relegated this season. So about 9 points off relegation and about 8 or 9 points off promotion. Bang, mid-table. At the start of the season, I said I wanted a mid-table finish. We got that. We got a top half mid-table finish. We conceded a lot of goals for 69. We scored 60. We had 18 losses, 13 draws, and won 15. Minus 9 goal difference. We could have done with tightening up. The teams that went up were who you thought they would be, which were Leeds, United, and Burnley. At this moment of recording, it can be Sheffield United versus Sunderland in the playoff final. Teams that went down are Cardiff, Plymouth, and Luton. You got Birmingham and Wrexham coming up, and then whoever wins the League One playoff. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because next season he's also got Ipswich down, Southampton down. I'm forgetting who the other club is. I think it's all the clubs that went up, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was another one of these ones where every team that went up are coming back down. Leicester, there we go, it's Leicester. Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton all down. Now, we still don't know what's going on with the manager situation at the moment. As it stands, Danny Rule is in a contract till 2027. If he wants to go, he will either need someone to pay him out of his contract and pay the compensation, quit, or grin it and bear it and go for it. That's going to be what the situation is more than likely going to be. We will have to see what happens with Sheffield Wednesday and Danny Rule and everything else. But as the season goes, it was a good season in terms of getting mid-table. We could have done with a lot of extra players in terms of certain positions. Didn't get that. But again, it was another season where the drama was off-field. It was off-field drama causing issues once again. I'd love for us to have one season where there is no off-field issues. But I don't think we're ever going to see that anytime soon. Well, thank you for watching. If you got through this 30-minute or so review of the season, let me know what you thought of the season. Is it where you expected us to be at the start of the season? Or were you expecting a bit more from us to have a bit more of a playoff push, like a lot of were? Or were you the other end? Did you think the signings were not good enough to have this season, and we were lucky because of how bad some of the teams were this season? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I will appreciate all of you watching and supporting this season. It's been a long old season. looking forward to next season, even though it's still, we don't know what's going on, and it could be a lot more toxicity than it was. We had protesting this season as well. At the Norwich game, there was the 1867 group, and then near the end of the season, we had the supporter trust as well having their protest as well. As it stands, a lot of people are not on the side of Chancery, and it's been that case for a while. But it's getting more and more that the tide turns a little bit, and it turned a little bit. So we'll see. There's a lot of people who want to take over. There's a lot of people who keep saying there might be one in the offing. We'll have to wait and see what comes out and what's allowed to come out. If there is a takeover, they take time. They take time to do. From start to finish, you'll see what happened. Reading are now officially got taken over, so they're a club who finally not got that hanging over their head. Maybe we've become one of those clubs that get taken over soon. Who knows? But thank you for your support this season. We'll be back next season. We'll be doing videos all through the summer to talk about players, shirt reviews, the lot, fixture, announcement, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one of these. Peace.